Healthcare costs are on the rise, seemingly uncontrollably. How do you plan? How can you plan for rising healthcare costs in retirement and still be confident with this huge variable out there? I'll show you how. That and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Just a couple weeks ago, I asked you, what is your biggest question about retirement planning? What's the thing that maybe keeps you up at night or makes you worried about your ability to have a successful retirement? That if you knew the answer, you would say, yeah, I'm on track. I'm ready to plan appropriately to have a successful retirement. I asked you, got phenomenal responses and questions, and that's exactly what I expected. I've answered one. I'm going to continue to answer them, and the next one I'm answering here is about healthcare in retirement and how can you plan for it. Fantastic question from just my opinion for now. The hardest thing to plan for is the increased cost of healthcare from the time you retire to the time you're eligible for Medicare. How can you plan for this expense appropriately? I'm going to make that question a little bit bigger because absolutely, if you retire early before age 65, that's when you're eligible for Medicare. There's a few other times or situations, permanently disabled for 24 months and a few other times you can get on Medicare early, but for the most part, it's age 65. If you retire before age 65, what's your plan for health insurance between age 65 or between retirement and age 65? And that's her question. However, many people underprepare, underplan, don't plan appropriately for not only that, but also the rising healthcare expenses throughout retirement. Fidelity does this study every single year. Take a look. I put the full article link to it in the show notes here. And they do this update where, okay, what's expected that a 65-year-old, how much during their retirement will they spend on medical expenses? Right now, it's just shy of $200,000. It's been around there. They are showing from 24 to 25, it's about a 4% increase. And what they're projecting, that's per person. That's per person. That is just an enormous amount. If I were to quiz you, what do you think the biggest expense you'll have in retirement is? You're likely to say healthcare. And you might be right. For many people, it's going to be taxes. After that, likely housing expenses, and then a near third would be health care. But it could be number one for you. It's certainly going to be one of the biggest medical expenses. So I'm going to expand the question and answer it more broadly than just how do you plan for medical expenses between retirement and 65 being on Medicare. How do you plan confidently for medical expenses in retirement? You don't know what they're going to be. They're rising at an astronomical rate. How can you plan to have a successful and confident retirement in the face of all of that? Two ways. There's two things that you need to do. Number one, you need to build in medical expenses, healthcare expenses into your spending when you're building out your retirement projection, when you're building out your retirement plan. You know, there's 5 factors that you need to analyze and really give input on, answer, or determine when it comes to being able to plan for a confident and successful retirement. Those 5 factors are: what age are you going to be done, and what's your life expectancy? So age. Second is, what are you plan on spending in retirement? So this is your base your base expenses, your normal monthly expenses. But you've got to add on health insurance. You've got to add on taxes. You might need to add on vacations and a few other things, but liability payments. So that's all retirement spending. Third is, what are your retirement income sources? So how are you going to optimize Social Security? Will you have a pension? Will you have any other retirement income sources? Fourth, how much do you have saved up for retirement? And how much are you saving on an ongoing basis between now and being done? And then fifth is, how much investment risk are you comfortable taking, both during your career, but then how will that shift when you retire? Those are the 5 factors. There are 5 choices. There are 5 variables that you get to make. Making a decision in one is going to impact your options and choices in the other. And all of that then needs to be stress tested with your certified financial planner in a variety of stock market conditions to see, well, during those trials, during that stress test, Are you on track for a confident retirement? What's your confident rate? And then adjust and make adjustments, make trade-offs. Most people, and by most people, I mean 99 out of 100. And certainly I haven't seen it in any other online calculator. Part of that second variable, retirement spending, you have to have a line item for healthcare expenses. You have to. And one of the reasons for this is because typically, if you're just planning on, well, I'll spend in retirement what I'm spending right now, most people are not spending or paying the full amount of their health insurance out of pocket. Likely your employer is paying something, paying maybe the majority, maybe half. I'm not sure. Most people, not all, but most people have their employer paying something. That's not going to be the case when you retire. Okay, so you've got to build that into your plan. I'm going to explain how here in just a second. And then the second thing that you need to do is when you build that as a separate expense item in your retirement spending, in your plan, you then need to inflate it at a different amount. For us, our base inflation rate on all the base expenses and all of that is around 3%. And guys, we kept it the same during the spike in inflation. It's possible we'll move it to 3.5. It's possible we'll move it to 4. We're not married to that 3%. We try to take a pragmatic approach to what should that inflation rate be. We've had it at 3% for a long time. We do believe that is probably the likely long-term number. Not for healthcare, not for medical expenses. We have inflated that at 5%. And even though this year from 25 to 26, it's very possible healthcare expenses are going to go up more than 5%. If you build in that 5% inflation rate on those medical expenses, compound throughout your plan, that I would hope that is a accurate or close to accurate expectation of that expense in the future. So you've got to build these specific healthcare expenses as a line item into your retirement planning, not into your budget. If you just build it into your budget and then you'd say, okay, well, yeah, it's already in my budget, so I expect I'll spend X amount. Well, then you're going to inflate all of that at the same rate, and medical expenses are rising at a faster rate. It's got to be a separate line item, okay? So going back to answering this question, that's how you plan for Medicare or for health expenses before 65, and that's how you plan from 65 for the rest of your plan. Okay, is you build it in as a separate expense. So then what amount? That's sort of the last question. And maybe that was the real question. What amount? What amount am I supposed to include in there? Well, if you're planning for that healthcare between retiring early and age 65, I would encourage you go out there right now and go to healthcare.gov and see, well, what would the expense be if I got my health insurance through the exchange? I've done a lot of content on this. I've talked about it a lot. When you retire before being eligible for Medicare, you really have 3 options. Going uninsured is really not an option. So your 3 are COBRA for up to 18 months, getting health insurance through healthcare.gov on the exchange, on the marketplace, Obama plan, however you want to call it. It's all the same thing. That's the second way. Or third is some sort of share program, which isn't insurance per se. It's a conglomerate. It's a network. It's a share program. Some people prefer that. COBRA is temporary. Okay. And the last one, the share program, isn't real insurance. So I would baseline, even though you're not making your decision right now, I would baseline in your plan, go to healthcare.gov, project out what the expenses are, and I build that expense in. This is where you're going to want the help of a certified financial planner, because possibly you might be able to get some premium discount, some premium, advanced premium tax credits to lower the amount that you would pay for that healthcare.gov health insurance. You may want to factor that in. For most of our clients that we're serving, where they are retiring before being Medicare eligible, we're analyzing all of this. But if we just needed to put a forecast in, we assume $1,000 to $1,500 per month as a pre-65, pre-Medicare health insurance expense. Now that's for a couple. So if it's individual, we're probably $800 to $1,000 per person. As a couple, $1,000 to $1,500 is what we'll tend to put in there from whatever retirement is until age 65, and we inflate that at 5%. You might say, yeah, but then I'm going to have deductibles and healthcare on top of that. Then build an extra. And make sure that it's accurate and as you've heard me say before, in the ballpark, so it's realistic, but a little bit conservative, so you can build an extra. From there, then, you then add in another expense from age 65 for the rest of your plan. And that's the Medicare expense. And most people say, well, I have no idea what Medicare is going to be. You can base it off of today, right now. So you're going to have a decision. When you turn age 65 and get on Medicare, you're going to have one of the biggest health insurance decisions you're going to make in your life. And that is, do I go with traditional Medicare, A, B, D, and a supplement, okay? Or I'm hesitating, I think they call it original Medicare. I call it traditional Medicare, A, B, D, and a supplement. Or do you go with Medicare Advantage, where you opt out, but you still pay the Part B premium and you buy health insurance through an insurance company and go with Medicare Part C, okay? You pay Part B and then you enroll for a plan in Part C. That's the big choice that you get to make. It's open enrollment right now. As I'm recording this, this is a big time to make a lot of those decisions. Typically, going Medicare Advantage on a monthly basis, your premium is going to be overall a little bit cheaper. Your out-of-pocket's going to be a little bit higher, but your premiums might be a little bit cheaper over someone's lifetime. That might be a cheaper experience, just depends on your situation. So typically, because you're not making that decision at 45 or 50 when you're doing your retirement planning, so typically we do our planning based off of going with traditional Medicare. Part A is typically at no additional cost. Part B, that cost is changing right now. We still don't know what it is at the time I'm recording this. We don't know what it is for 2026. It's currently $185. They're projecting it's going to be $206 per person. Part D, I would plan on $25. Okay, it might be a little bit higher than that. Prices are going up. And then a supplement also is going to depend on where you live and a few other factors. I'd plan on $150. So you can build that in. Those are your monthly premium expenses. Call it $400 a month on average. You might be a little bit higher. You might be a little bit lower. Call it $400 per person per month for traditional Medicare. And I'd build that in and I'd inflate that at 5% compound. That's how you build in the expected medical costs into your retirement plan, and therefore when you factor all of that in and you've got that as a line item inflated at a higher amount, whatever that outcome, that confidence rate is showing you, I would say is an accurate confidence rate, even in the face of all this uncertainty over medical costs in the future. That's the planning work that you need to do with your certified financial planner. Starts with 5-factor retirement plan and then the right details in that retirement spending for your specific situation as it relates to medical and health insurance. So work with your certified financial planner on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisefinancial.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.